So this is my main wood pile, and you can see it's kind of a mess. And you can see some kind of more branches down there to some larger cut up pieces, and there's a lot of different wood. You can see a lot of the ends are painted like white, and when you get fresh wood, um, that'll you can put some like house paint. If you have any leftover house paint, it's kind of the cheapest thing that's thick. I'll give you a look at one up close here. That will kind of seal it off, and it keeps the water from coming out of the ends too fast, and keep it from splitting up too much. And also taking out the pith, which is the absolute center. I just found a dart flight. I also played darts right there. Never mind. Oh, you can see my underwear. It's got saws and logs on it. Definitely living the log life there. Anyway, so a lot of that wood there's some walnut that I got recently, and really just wanted to talk about in this video kind of the difference in the way that I carve and work, and kind of is compared to the older generations. You can see here this is the pith that's been cut out, and you can see that it's like cracking. It cracks in all directions, and so that's kind of the centerpiece of a lot of these wood pieces that you see. And I'm just kind of showing the logs here. I'll actually take a piece out of there and show you how I would work with it. So anyway, I mean, besides the cost of wood, um, we're kind of the DIY generation, and it's so much more fun to make things yourself or go out and get them yourself, process it yourself. Instead of buying it in a store where it's been, commercialized and whatever. And especially when you're making stuff by hand and you're making something from nature, why have it tainted? So I've gone through a huge process along with my, learning to wood carve of finding wood and learning to identify some of it, and dealing with the drying of it, and so just wanted to talk about some of that today. And one of the other things is also that how it's processed, how wood is processed. I mean, for a long time in America, the carvers have been they have chainsaws and they have bandsaws, and they'll bandsaw pieces down, and I never really. I mean, that stuff is really expensive. A large bandsaw is outrageous. You have a place to run it. I mean, I live in Brooklyn, New York, so it's kind of another side to this whole deal. There's not a lot of wildlife and trees around me, and before was in this apartment, I actually did all my axe work out on a little like 2x4 balcony, and the neighbors hated me. So I was just kind of going through my hatchets here. This is my newest one. I'm just kind of showing it off. It's a hewing hatchet, so it actually has. I dropped it. A good thing it didn't land on my foot. You can see it's actually it goes to the side there. It's completely flat on one side, and it's really heavy though. You can see the size difference though here, and really using it, it's like kind of. It's a power tool. It really is. And back in the day, that's what they would do. This saw here is I've shown it to you guys before in another video, but I really hate to promote a large company that's sold in a larger company. But that there is the only saw that I can endorse, and the difference between some of the other saws is amazing. Even that brand, when it goes into anything else, it may look like the teeth are sharp, it may look like they're whatever, and you'll be sawing forever. It'll completely suck. I've had that one for a long time. It still cuts pretty well, and it's only about $20. So it's if you're gonna start doing your own wood stuff, it's a good place to start. My first hatchet, which you guys saw there, it's similar to the one I'm using right there. I got it at an estate sale for I think $4, and that's a vintage hatchet. All these are vintage hatchets because back in the day, good quality steel wasn't that expensive, and at some point it got really expensive. And now, if you want to get a high carbon steel axe, you have to pay $300 or $400 for it. So that's not something I'm gonna do. And I don't know. I like vintage stuff. I like restoring old tools. So um, trying to give you some angles here. I mean, it's sketchy to start working with, the axes, and the hatchets. But that's if you're not gonna buy a bandsaw for a few $1,000s. This is kind of what you need to do. Um, I do a lot of spoon carving as well, and I like to do that in the traditional style, which is with the hatchets. So it's kind of been I've had a lot of practice. I was just kind of going through there what you do and don't do. Um, you don't want to go up past your fingers on your strikes in general. Um, and if you are going up past your fingers, it shouldn't be too far. And the axe, the swing, the top of that swing should be real far out away from your fingers, so there's no chance of it hitting. You cannot afford to take chances with these hatchets. I've hurt myself a few times with them, actually, just doing basic things because they're so heavy. Um, like if I have, sharp carving knife that's sitting on a counter, and I hit it with my hand, the flexibility in my skin will take that without getting cut, most likely, or damaged too badly, and the knife will spin away. With a hatchet, if your hand brushes it, not even hard, nothing, because it doesn't move, will cut you pretty bad. So you certainly, as you know, do not want to be hitting yourself with a hatchet. So um, I go over some of that in some of my spoon carving videos, and you just kind of have to figure out on your own, through common sense. And there is some of the basic of regular axe work where you need to watch your swing. You don't want to hit yourself in the leg if you miss whatever you're looking at. And I don't know. I mean, hatchets are kind of different from the safety stuff, but you can still look at the safety stuff for the regular felling axes and kind of get something out of there. You'll do a lot of also of you don't want to do full arm hits. You want to be whipping it in like a little circle from your wrist, and this will allow you to get a lot more control. And that's also what I was kind of trying to show earlier, that like if you're gonna hit yourself or the wrong place of the wood, it's not gonna be as devastating because the trajectory of the axe uh, isn't gonna keep going. Having that weight behind it like a train, it's just gonna be whipping around, so it's actually gonna be turning right out of the path of danger within an inch or two. Not sure if that makes sense. I'll maybe try to do another video on hatchets, but anyway, so finding wood. All right, because this started by comment. I've been meaning to make a video about it, talk about it somewhat. Can you just find wood? So the answer is basically yes. Almost any wood is carvable that you can find laying around. There's only going to be like certain issues, right? There's like if it's too rotted, it's been down for too long, or if it's too hard to carve, the wood is very hard. Um, and then there's also like softwoods like pine. Most of them you can't deal with because of the sap. It's just going to get all over your hands and all over your knife, and it's going to be a mess. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of different kind of pine trees. I know that I actually have carved some, but anyway, the point is, you carry your knife around with you. You can pick up wood, twigs, and stuff, and you check them out, and that's how it works. And sometimes you maybe cut a little section of limb off, and you want to slowly try to learn about identifying trees. Some are easier some are somewhat easy, and some of them are just, it gets really hard, and it's very hard to find information out there about it. There's a lot of people like on the internet trying to identify a tree is just about impossible. And I would suggest that you not ever think that you have identified a tree positively. What am I going over here? Yeah, I'm talking about the angles, right? Going from the side and the whip there. That's what I was talking about earlier. That you're whipping it at the wrist. Because see, that would miss it, but if I hit it with all the hand, it would cut off all my fingers. All right, so um, but most woods are definitely carvable, and why aren't they all in stores to carve? They maybe don't dry as well. They maybe crack, or they have a pith, or they don't have straight grain, or they don't have long lengths of tree that don't have knots in it, so they're just not good for milling or whatever. There's tons of reason. But I have tons of early work, and still some now where I have no idea what the wood is, and it worked out okay. So you really, yeah, again, you just kind of try it and see. And I collected way too much wood in my first apartment. Because I'm in Brooklyn, there's just not that much wood, and finding wood that seemed okay or big chunks of it didn't happen that often. So it was like a hoarding situation. When we moved, it was pretty atrocious. Anyway, so this is what you would do if you get a twig or something, or you say that you're out. Is you just go ahead and cut a piece off, and you've watched my videos, like to carve a king. That one is just a little section of wood, and a little limb like this, little section there. And so places you can get wood. By the way, look, this is big leaf linden. It's very similar to basswood. It's great carving. This, if you don't have a saw with you, you can kind of do a very small chopping from the angles to cut a piece off. Although, really, the saw is much easier. So, this stuff is dry. Anyway, the big leaf linden is it's softer than basswood, and it actually tears out a little bit, so it's not why it's used as much. But don't use little leaf. That stuff is way too hard. Little leaf linden. But both, these are woods if you're in America and some other places. I think most of the world has linden trees of some sort. Check them out. See if people have carved them and see if they're any good. There's also sycamore and London plane trees, which are both very good. And those are in a lot of places as well. And find out where one is, and if you have a neighbor or something who has one, ask them if they need some trimming, and you can get some pieces off there. Um, and if it's a log, you've kind of seen me split up a big piece, and you would basically get down to a smaller piece like this, and then you'd saw it in half, and you basically start getting little cubes like you do with your basswood. So, if you're not doing cubes, you're doing a big piece. It's another thing that you'll do if you don't have a bandsaw, is you're gonna rough out some of your shapes with your hatchet. And in this case, which I wouldn't really try to do this on a small face like this until you feel more comfortable with your hatchet. But I just took out some notches, like where I'll normally do stop cuts for the top and bottom of the nose. But there's been plenty of times where if I'm gonna do like a Santa Claus or something, there's a lot of wood to remove, and there's no reason to do it with a gouge. You just go out with your hatchet and take as much off as you can. Try to stay inside the shape there, and then if this one's gonna be a small one, go ahead and saw off that piece. And so I'll just be carving on. Oh, I gotta edit this because I lost this stupid piece of twig that I cut off. All right, hold on. I'm just gonna talk over it anyway. Okay, so the other question part of the question, that the comment that really pushed me to make this video right now, um, was that if you don't have a wood carving knife, can you just use a pocket knife? Um, well, I'm getting a little crack hanging out there. Anyway, it depends on what your carving knife is. The main problem with starting wood carving is having a sharp knife, and the kind of sharpness that you need for the knife is not something that people they're used to, or they have any information about, and there's this strange we get a little insecure about it, and we say, we think that we like our pocket knives, we think they're okay. Most knives that people have are not going to be okay for wood carving. My best suggestion is that you go get the X-Acto knives. They may be called hobby knives where you live. They're the little thin silver craft knives. They're not the thick box cutters, but they have like a silver pencil body where you screw in a little blade. And that's, you get a pack of blades, and then you'll be able to have a tool, and at some point you can start to cross over into getting a real knife and learning how to sharpen. And learning how to sharpen is not I'm sure you've done some with your kitchen knife, and maybe your pocket knife, and you shave some of your leg hair, and unfortunately that attitude is going to do nothing but hurt you. And it's hard to say. I mean, it's dealing with sharpening on a microscopic level, and it takes a lot of patience. And if we just don't believe in things that we don't see, and so you might as well be talking about voodoo, and I don't really know what to say about it, but it stops a lot of early wood carvers in their tracks, and they don't do it anymore. They get frustrated, they blame themselves, and there's nothing you can really do. So besides the X-Acto knives, using those, there's a company, they're called like Warren Cutlery, I think, something like that, and they sell a bit more of a sturdy knife, and they sell some other tools but they're disposable. You can buy multiples for somewhat cheap, and I would really suggest that. And you, at least it'll give you an idea of what you need to have to start, to be cutting wood. Excuse me, I'm starting to babble. Most wood shouldn't be tearing out, okay? And you're not gonna enjoy wood carving if your cuts are tearing out. Whatever pocket knife that you got from wherever. I have a lot of pocket knives. I love them, and but they can't be used for wood carving. They maybe work for a little bit because they have a bit of a burr on there, but that steel can't really hold an edge, and if you can get it on there, it's not going to last very long. So I don't know. I mean, you need to do yourself a favor, and you need to act like the whole blade sharpening thing is. Look at all these ants and bugs that are flying around. It's wild. I don't know. You need to act like it is an ancient martial art that's going to take some time and patience to learn. And it is. And it's still, to me, frustrating. And there was a lot of times where it was hard. It was hard to keep going. So yeah, go get an X-Acto blade. If you want to use a pocket knife on that note, you can use a vintage pocket knife. Again, it's with the steel. Steel used to be cheap. Carbon steel used to be used in everything. And a lot of people have their grandfather's pocket knives, and you can definitely use those. They'll probably be great. You want to check the locks on them and make sure it has snap and that it can handle pressure. without it bending backwards. Um, and you don't ever want to put too much pressure on pocket knives in general. They will start to fade. They are, even the best made ones, they feel very solid, but they're put together with pins and not very much metal, so you can destroy even the best of them, unfortunately. So if you have, a knife, if you want a pocket knife, a good pocket knife to carve with, you can feel free to contact me. Whether it's to clean up and sharpen your grandfather's old knife, or if it's to pick one off of eBay and you want to have it sent straight to my house or whatever. They're pretty, light, so the shipping's not going to be too bad. And depending on what kind of condition it's in and how many blades were on it, really shouldn't be too. It'll be cheaper than buying a new knife, which there really isn't any options on quality carbon pocket knives anyway. So. Let's see here. So, I don't know. I was just kind of carving this stuff here to show you. I mean, this was a twig that I found in the park. This is how it goes. Definitely works. This is the big leaf linden, and on some of the pieces, it's a little bit inconsistent. That's another reason why some woods aren't used. A little bit inconsistent, and like on this piece, it's just it wouldn't take a whole lot of detail, and you can see how I usually can't get hair with one stroke. You have to do a V-cut, and it was so soft that it was just bending and staying in that direction. So, but it's good enough. When you're learning and the wood's free, that's all that really matters. Also, the other thing is you'll do a lot of sanding earlier in your wood carving career, and any wood that tears out or you don't have a clean cut, you can fix with the sandpaper. Because you get an X-Acto knife, a fresh one, or a brand new, or whatever, freshly sharpened knife or whatever. You should be able to get clean cuts going with the grain, in very small increments, small whittles. But you're still gonna have problems. There's certain kind of techniques. It just takes time to start to get clean cuts, or be able to get clean cuts in all directions, or doing heavy ones. When you start carving, you kind of feel a little bit, like you're learning to use your hands again, and you are, and over time, your hands and brain start to be more economical with the wood. I'm still not real great with it, but I've come a huge way, definitely. Even though I'm an impatient carver, as you can see here, it looks like this is sped up. It's actually not. No, but I see older wood carvers, guys who've been carving for decades, and I know I still have a long way to go, and it's a nice kind of thing, that you're kind of always getting somewhere with this hobby, this art form, and it really is almost a bit of a religious sort of thing as well, or meditation on life. But anyway, this was kind of a bad idea with using the walnut. That the darker wood is the heartwood, and the white wood is the sapwood. And so the heartwood is the inside. If you look at the log from the top, and when there's been a cut through it, and you're looking through it like it's a bullseye, a dartboard or something, the center will be the heartwood. And that part of the tree is mostly dead, and the outside is going to be the sapwood, and that part is what's mostly alive on the tree, and that's basically where all the fluids go through. So on a lot of trees, a lot of woods, you won't use the sapwood, and some it'll basically it'll dry differently. It'll be more prone to rotting. And there's actually a certain type of I guess all woods can spalt, which is this like weird kind of mold thing that happens. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but in some of the species, it can be extremely beautiful, and it's not dangerous. It just like it's this just like a chemical process that changes the color. You'll see actually in this, you might see that the uh, the wood reacts to the carbon in my knife, and it will get a little purplish in some of the cuts, get a little darker. So, what are we talking about? So anyway, the heartwood sapwood thing. So in some woods, it's a huge difference, like in color and in how hard it is, and in some, it's not. There's no difference at all. Um, so you just kind of keep that in mind, I guess. That you might only be using the center of the piece that you get. Um, where were we? So yeah, I mean, I wish I had a better answer for the sharpening thing, and I wish I had some sort of speech, something to say to people that was better than, you know, I don't know. But I tell you what, when you start to learn how to sharpen for real, and not the kind where you're just shaving your legs, but you can actually make cuts on wood that are clean and don't tear out. It's real rewarding, and it's a little less rewarding than wood carving itself because you'll still get frustrated with tools. I still get frustrated with tools sometimes. I won't be getting it down right, and again, you can't see the part that's actually where the cutting happens is on the actual edge of the knife, and it's like microscopic, and it's very frustrating when you're maybe doing something wrong, or yeah, I mean you're doing something wrong. Um, I have a sharpening video, by the way, if you want to check it out. And I maybe will add another one to talk about some other more complexities. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that the path of wood carving that I've taken, as far as using mostly found woods and not using any power tools for the most part, has been really nice, and it's not that hard, and it's extremely fun to go look for wood and to be on the lookout for wood. Um, you know, for me, I kind of have to just do the park thing, but every once in a while, I'll be in the forest or something. I don't know. The forests aren't as generally are kind of hard to work with because everything that goes down will it'll get too wet and it'll start to get rotted pretty quick because of the temperature, the moisture, whatever. But the parks here, they'll trim trees or whatever. And they'll be perfect logs for me to load up onto my moped and drag them home, or even my bicycle, and sit around and cut those up with axes that are way too small to be splitting logs. But that's the life. But when you find that wood, you find a good wood, it's very nice experience. You get to go hunt for it, and you find it, and it's a treasure hunt, and it's a real treasure hunt. I mean, this stuff is worth money, and it's worth something to your well-being and your hobby. So, well, I sure that when I'm carving, when I'm watching the video, it doesn't look like I'm having a meditative experience. But maybe, is this in fast forward? It looks sped up, doesn't it? I think I maybe accidentally did speed it up. I don't know. Maybe I should speed it up more. Alright, anyway, so I don't think I have anything else to talk about. Oh, actually, I do some more carving. I kind of show you because I don't know. I did these two faces, and I wanted to show. There are in some of my videos. I have these like beginner videos that were the Lucky Clover carving series, but they were just so long, and uh, it actually took me a long time to try to simplify the information, and I still did a horrible job. And it's just like they're really long. So I spent a little time whittling here at the end. Um, what you'll kind of do when you start to whittle for the first time, when you go get some sticks. Really, your first thing you're gonna do is really just test it out, and basically do the pencil sharpening kind of deal on the end of it, and really feel the wood, make sure the wood's okay, and get that kind of so you feel comfortable with it, and then then you'll go into the stop cuts, and you'll make a shape with some stop cuts, and then you'll smooth out that shape and work on it for a while. And this is a really enjoyable time in wood carving. There's a lot of space in between making successful work uh, that require anatomical um, knowledge and making work that is aesthetically pleasing and fun to do. And although I have a history of art education and drawing, that's actually very rare in wood carving. And a lot of my favorite wood carvers are not very anatomically sound. I don't mean them personally. If you see their drawings, you look at their stuff, they've just figured out ways to get around it. And you figure out those ways in a lot of these early stages, where you're just making a spiral, or you whittle a sphere, and um, there's something so nice about getting these organic shapes out of wood. I was ready to make jokes about what this looks like. Is it cool if I eat in the microphone while I talk? You guys eat swan grapes and quinepas? That's one of the great fruits that I've discovered in Brooklyn, some of the ethnic neighborhoods. Um. So yeah, I mean, when I suggest to people to start out with these shapes, first time carving, it's it's not like I want you to not go for your dreams or whatever. It's just like this is just you don't need to do this for very long. It's just like the first time you sit down with a knife, and this takes like an hour, and it just helps you to get down the cuts a little bit so that it won't be quite so frustrating when you get into if you want to try a face right away or whatever. Um, I really did start my wood carving career with the X-Acto knives and whittling small stuff for quite some time, and slowly kind of got into more complex shapes and ideas, and then eventually got a present of a few knives, and kind of went from there. And it was very good that I'd spent some time, without the sharpening, because I had enough love and addiction build up kind of to the wood carving that I could persevere through the hardship of learning how to carve. You can see here I'm just you make these simple shapes, and you can make them pretty smooth just by spending time on them with a knife. But you go ahead and sand them afterwards. This is I got like a 1,000-foot roll of this sandpaper. It's old, from like a garage garage sale or something, and it was $1. No, it wasn't even $1. It was like a quarter, something ridiculous. And I've seen them before at other places. You want to keep an eye out for those. This is like a cloth-backed, very thick sandpaper, so that you can roll it like this and it won't tear. Because most of the sandpapers, they're it's paper. So if you have normal sandpaper, you can put duct tape on the back, and that will make it more, so you can roll it up and hold on to it. It'll be a little more durable. So this is starting to not look like a penis anymore. And I'll show you what you do kind of after this step. And basically we'll do a spiral. And, this is really just practicing stop cuts. And just very simple cuts. And you'll find that right away on this simple, just when you're making one. You'll make that V cut, the stop cut, and there'll be a little wood left, or one of your cuts will go a little deep, and you'll go do another pass, which is what it's called when you go to cut another layer of wood away. And it'll be messed up again in a different way, and it's kind of the milk and cereal philosophical thing that happens. So, okay, we're just going to start, instead of just with the regular stop cut we did before, we're just going to slant it. You kind of pick a slant, maybe 45 degrees, whatever it is. It really doesn't matter. You can play around with this later. And you just keep it going. You just keep turning the wood and keeping that slant going down. And this will eventually make a spiral. And then you go back and you can work those, the spiral as much as you want. You can really round it out, sand it, make it nice. And the spirals, they really can go a lot of different places. And how the angle, is how tight it's going to be or long, and in those, how deep you make them. Really changes the way that it's going to look. Do you want to make it look like rope, or do you want to make it look like the top of a cupcake or something, or some very thin headphone wires coiled? Okay, and then past that is that you can start one that has some distance in between. Like, once it's starting to, right now I'm starting to get around to one layer. If you have enough distance there, which is kind of relative to how deep the cuts are, how big the wood is, all this other stuff. There's enough distance, you can start another one in there, right? And if you have a harder wood and you have a bit more, if you want a thicker piece in this, then you can carve it and you'll have two pieces, and you can actually separate them so that it's hollow on the inside. And I should probably cut to a picture of one of those. Let me go see if I have one. Hold on. Okay, so I couldn't find the piece that I was really, really looking for, but I found a spoon that's basically the same thing. And I just wanted to show you some other pieces. Here, there's the spoon. And by the way, I have no idea what this wood is. I had started to carve on some of it, and it was hard, and it seemed to work. It's got some cool colors. Anyway, you basically just do the spirals, and eventually the two pieces will become deeper and deeper, and then you can take out the middle. It is a bit difficult. It's kind of on the track of the whittling puzzles, which break when you make them incorrectly. That one kind of looks like a female organism. But I did a lot of little stuff like this, just kind of doing simple shapes. You want to do projects, a little duck there. You want to do projects that are obtainable and can be successful. You don't want to dive in over your head and get frustrated and have a failure and not return to wood carving. Even on simple projects, there's going to be a lot of moments in time where you'll start trying to get shapes out and it'll look like a mess, and it won't be very satisfying. So even on small pieces, I'd suggest that you take small parts of the project at a time and kind of get them each piece by piece. Get them so that you're happy with them, and then move on to the next piece. If you try to rough out too much of it, it can sometimes be bad for morale. So here's a few other little things. I could do like these little Guadalupes. These were all with X-Acto blades. Because I actually started doing whittling, doing crochet knives or crochet hooks, excuse me. I do a lot of little fish too. Fish are nice, easy shapes. You can get out of most stuff. This one's not painted or anything. The cats like fish though. And in your ear, Cookie? No. Scratch the ear. So yeah, Cookie likes that. Cookie has these here collars, like the color of her, and she looks like a zebra. Okay, anyway, so this is an actual example of a whittling puzzle, where, you know, this doesn't take like any artistic skill. It just takes time, and you kind of carve at it. There should be some stuff online about doing a ball and cage. This was like an early wood spirit. We're just doing a little twig, messing around. This was my first real wood spirit. My first face that I really went after, and he doesn't look too bad. And that was pretty. I mean, I'd been carving for quite some time before I got into faces, but I don't know. I mean, I've had a few guys that I've walked through the beginning of their carving career, and you know, a lot of them are attacking faces much earlier and having success. So, also a lot of these roosters early on. This was one, if you hadn't seen the video, whittling a rooster out of a twig, and then you get on to bigger stuff. And then that cat is actually a wood carving. It's not a real cat. Haha. No. So here we go. We're back to this little spiral thing here. And, you know, and stuff like this. I ran out of space on the card before I could really finish this. You know, like sand it down. But you kind of saw with the ball, when you spend time on even basic shapes, really shaping them nicely, they look very nice, and it's satisfying, and then you will enjoy wood carving and keep moving on. And that's when you want to do. That knife there is from Deep Woods Ventures. Good guy to get your first knife from. He's got a scalpel. It's $20 with shipping, I believe. If you're in the States, he does ship other places. Not sure of the prices. And I guess I did start to sand a little bit. So we're gonna cut out this video here. I think we're running at almost an hour or something, 45 minutes. It was a little ridiculous. And maybe get into some other stuff, but get out there and experiment with wood and carving stuff, and try to educate yourself as much as possible. But you know, you definitely can go off the beaten path in a lot of areas. It's really just sharpening, and very specifically, you know, keeping your spark and interest in wood carving alive and protected, that you really need to worry about. And you really want to. This is something that has brought me great satisfaction in my life, and I know a lot of other people feel the same. There's just something about it. And so don't be too hard-headed when you're starting your wood carving career, really at any time. And also wear a glove. Kevlar strand glove, or just one that's rubber coated. Any kind of glove. It won't protect you from stabs, but have some band-aids and first aid equipment nearby. And that's going to be about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of not much plot. But I feel like there was some stuff I need to talk about, and I feel like there's a lot more stuff I want to talk about that I've explored. But until next time, folks, have a great day.